Welcome back to Mcoc AlBundyRules. I got the Thor Ragnarok after buff tutorial. Well, I will say I enjoyed this buff quite a bit. I'm not going to call him OP, but I'm going to call him way more useful than he was. So before this tutorial starts, let's take a quick look at some highlights we got just from some random fights. No beneficiaries or anything, and looking at some of the damage, looking at the melting of DOT going on, and get a basic idea on what this guy can do now. And then I'm going to show you how to use all of his abilities, how to best use them, some rotations, and all kinds of good little fun on this little Thunder Super Stud. And we see he can just do some damage. Keep in mind, this is only a R1 6-star, so not even ranked up. Let's start off with the shock effects. Going to be a few parts on this. Incoming shock effects, 90% duration. Going to show that in a moment. Each time Thor inflicts shock debuff has a 16% chance to also inflict stun. I'm going to show that quite a bit coming up. And each time Thor inflicts a shock debuff, he has a 45% chance to inflict an armor break, removing armor buff and reducing armor rating for 10 seconds. In this case, H78. That's going to be a big part of him. But how you're able to time it, because how you get the shocks is going to be key, and keeping that active. I'm going to get into that later in the video, but keep these shock effects in mind, as getting those shocks up gets those armor breaks, which leads to stuns. However, you got to get that Thunder Wrath going on to really get the shocks reliable. I'll be showing that in the tips section. However, in the meantime, I showed a 90% reduction in shock, and look how quick that shock is. So purposely took an S1 from Warlock. I'm going to take another one coming up as I'm building up his power, and watch on that last hit once the shock comes up, and watch how quick it goes away. And look at that, gone before he can even rush in on me. Now let's go to the Boon of the Gods. So each time Thor gains 40 hits on his combo meter, or struck 20 times, well, you want to hit him 40 times, a lot better. It's going to happen. This completely fills the power meter over 6 seconds. It's unaffected by ability accuracy reductness, and if Thor is struck by a special attack, it is removed. So don't get hit by a special. You never want to anyways. The way you time this is going to be key. So right here, look, it's every 40 hits it's going to activate. So why would I want to activate it when I'm already got full power? That wouldn't be very beneficiary. So use a special right before 40. Notice there's 6 hits in that special 3, so I used it at 38. So midway during that special, I hit over 40 hits, and therefore 6 seconds after that special 3, guess what? I got another special 3 lined up. I'm going to speak more about this in the tips section towards the end of the video, but that's another big key in using them right. Now you have the auto block. It's a nice little thing, but it's not reliable, and it's more honestly just a nuisance in defense. So I went ahead and found a Thor Ragnarok there to show you as I'm dashing in on trying to intercept. We saw what happened. Now I'm using him, and we see as I was dashing in on her, she tried to special me, and it came in handy there, but it's not reliable. It's hit and miss. Burst damage. When an attack inflicts a stun, if the opponent has an armor break debuff, the attack deals a burst of attack physical damage equal to 250% of the damage up by the attack. So this is going to chain into some stuff I'm going to show later. Basically, you want to get the shocks up, which is going to help you. See, look at that damage right there, which is going to help you get the armor breaks, which is going to help you get the stuns, which is going to help you get that damage. It's just a long cycle, isn't it? I said a little bit there, but so once I get to the tips, it's going to make more sense as it all ties in together with a very simple strategy. Again, looking at the damage. So when there's the armor break up, but you get the armor break either with the S2, or see some more damage there, or when you're doing randomly when you're doing the shocks. So the more shocks you get, the more chance of armor break, the more chance you get to stun, the more chance you get that extra damage. Special ones start off with 75% chance, 1.8 stun debuff. If you have at least a 40 combo, then it will be 100%. And I recommend doing the specials higher up as possible on there, so you can, when you can chain that S1 into his other stuns, if you got the shocks going on, you can get some major stun locks going on. Unfortunately, it won't always be 100% reliable on the shocks, but you can do some pretty good stuff there. Special 2, 100% chance to inflict an armor break debuff, removing 1 armor up, reducing armor rating by over 1300 in this case for 16 seconds. This armor break debuff is paused when the Boon of Gods is active. This is really good. You can do that before the S3, especially if you're not running recoil or anything, but there are other ways to get armor breaks I'm going to be showing coming up in a moment. So if you're running recoil, don't worry about it. You don't need to do an S2 in order to get that armor break. There are other ways, because armor break is the big key and really getting some good stuff. Special 3's a lot here. Cannot do more than 20% of overall damage, 30% if they have an armor break, 100% chance to inflict a shock debuff, so you want them shocked, 100% chance to gain a Thunder God Wrath pass for 30 seconds, which is unaffected by reduction, while active contact with the opponent has 40% chance to inflict a shock debuff, causing over 1500 energy damage for 5 seconds. So you get this S3, you have 30 seconds, which is way more than enough time to get to another S3, especially if you time it around those 40 hit intervals, as long as you stay aggressive. So you do the S3, time it correctly, and you can keep spamming S3s and keeping that up, because while you keep that Thunder God's Wrath up, you see that good damage. That's when you're going to start getting the good damage, because that's what's going to lead you to more, but I'm going to show that more in the tips coming up. Signature ability. Thunder God's Wrath is enhanced by 519 attack rating, in this case scalable. Additionally, each shock debuff on the opponent causes them to suffer a negative 20% accuracy ability, meaning once you do get those Thunder God's Wrath going, you're going to get more attack based on Sig, but you can also get, technically, if you get 5 shocks on them, they're going to technically have 100% decreased ability accuracy, which is very nice. How easy is it to get and keep 5 shocks? Not the easiest thing in the world, but you will see, especially after you do the S3, you are able to get between 2 to 5 fairly decently. 5 shocks again equals 100% ability reduction, so not 100% reliable if you're trying to keep them down on the ability reduction, but it is fairly good. Synergies, taking a quick look. We see Not Afraid of Death. This gives him a 10% heal in between after each knockout, 15% attack with Thunder God's Wrath is active on friends from work. Like the old days, when struck for the first time each fight, 100% chance to gain a combo shield lasting 10 seconds. Then he got teammates, 5% perfect block chance, and then family, 6% health. He also got some good benefits on there. So I'm going to show one later in this coming up in the tips section to get some more damage. Another synergy from another side. But first, let's start with tip 1. Use in matchups where there is a risk of shock due to champs or nodes. So again, see how quick that shock goes away in this Warlock. Even though he's not shock immune, he's not going to take a whole lot of shock damage normally because it goes away so quick. So don't be shy in using him in those circumstances, especially if you don't have a shock immune champ. He can handle it pretty dang well. Tip 2, time specials to hit right before the increments of 40 hit count. See right there, in this case 35. So this S3 is 6 hits, I believe. 6 or 7. So as long as you time it around 34, 35 hits, you will hit 40 hits along the way. See, it's 41. So anywhere between 34 to 39 hits on the increments. Hit that special, preferably the S3, and then as soon as, look how quick that was, 6 seconds after that S3, guess what? You're going to have another S3. Easy to spam, easy to keep up his wrath, and all that goodies. You can just keep spamming that S3, which is going to make it easier to do the other stuff where you get the damage. As long as you keep doing those S3s, you can keep up the wrath, you can keep doing the shocks. The shocks in attune to do more, as I'm going to show here in tip 3. Tip 3 is, this is a good rotation, good use for him. Properly time the S3, meaning between 34 to 39 hits, do an S3. After this S3, remember in 6 seconds you're going to have another one. You see how I timed that S3 right before 40 hits? 6 seconds after this, I'm going to have another S3. I'm going to stay very aggressive. You want to stay very aggressive between. Don't just you want to get your hit count up. So 6 seconds after that S3, we see I already got another S3. We see my wrath is up. I'm just going to go. I could wait a few seconds if I want to, but I know I have to time it out. But I know I have plenty of time. But look how quick that was. Nothing like 6 seconds in between S3s. Not many champs can do that. Sure, there's a couple or so, but not a whole lot that quick. Thunder God's Wrath is, you want to keep this active, because the more hits means the more chances that shocks. While that Thunder is active, that Thunder Wrath is active, you have that chance it shocks, which then with those shocks you can get those armor breaks. Those armor breaks, you get those chance at stuns, and sometimes get stun locks going on. Keep in mind, when you get the stun with the armor break, you also get that extra damage. It's just a cycle, but it's easy. Even though there's a lot going on, it's super easy to do. All you do is keep spamming the S3s. Again, if you can, try to time it around the increments of 80, but you have 30 seconds is way more than enough time if you're staying active to keep it active. For more damage, you can also use a synergy, kind of for like a Star-Lord style attack, meaning the more hits you get, the more attack increase, which is going to be with the champion. In this one, you will see a 0.8% attack rating per hit in the combo up to 100 hits. 0.8 times 100 would be 80%. So you can get 80% attack increase after 100 hits or more with that synergy. So it gets you even more damage. Hope you like this champ tutorial. I enjoyed the buff myself. Can see some good use out of him now. Don't forget to click the top left icon to subscribe to Mcoc, AlBundyRules. Turn those notifications on. Remember, I got a little something for everyone, so check my playlist, my champ tutorials, my walkthroughs, my tips and tricks.